Hello, this is Ariella Carmel, and we're in Paris as part of Israel's business delegation, led by Calcalist and Bank Hapoalim. I'm here with Yuval Cohen, founder and managing partner at StageOne Ventures. Thank you for joining me, Yuval.
Thank you, Ariella, for inviting me.
So can you start off by telling me a little bit about StageOne Ventures and the sectors that you're most interested in?
Sure. So we are an early stage venture capital firm operating out of Israel. We've been around for quite a while, for more than 20 years by now. We invest under three major pillars. The first one, we are seed players, so early stage players. Second, we go to companies that developed new technologies for the enterprise world. So everything that would go to the infrastructure of medium to large enterprises is of interest to us. And third, we actually invest in Israel, mainly in Israel, in some cases outside Israel, when the CEO is based in the US or in Europe, and the R&D in Israel, it's still okay, but there need to be a kind of Israeli angle to the story.
Okay.
Under that business model, we've been, as I said, operating for more than 20 years, investing out of our fourth fund by now that we raised in 2022.
Okay, and how does funding in this current period compare to the previous year in terms of investing in Israeli companies?
So I think that something has changed in Israel. If I look at the 10 years between 2014 or 2012 to 2021, these were terrific years for the Israeli high-tech and for high-tech in general, not only in Israel. What happened is that since 22, we started seeing a major decline in investments in new companies that are established in Israel. And more specifically, since October last year, we see a major decline in new companies. And I believe that that's something that Israel tech will need to deal with.
And can you speak a bit to the European market and European investors within Israeli tech and how that's developed in the last several years?
Yeah, so when I started my career, I mean, there were very few European investors that invested in Israel. I think that, again, it started maybe 10, 12 years ago when European understood that there is a lot to do in Israel in terms of investing either directly in startups, mainly in later stages, or indirectly through funds. And we saw a bunch of multinational companies coming to Israel, some of them even setting permanent presence in Israel, and trying to chase for good technologies. And there are a bunch of very good and very big players here, specifically in France, conglomerates like Thales that acquired Imperva, you have Michelin, and you have some very large telecommunication operator, Orange for sure, that are still looking for new technologies in Israel.
Do you think interest in investing in Israeli tech has been impacted since the war on October 7th among French and European investors?
Definitely. I would say that the European came a bit late. Of course, when the tech industry in Israel started, it was more driven to the US. And it took the European, as I said, sometimes to enter the market. And we saw really, a very good period of until 22, 23. And I think that by now, and European, I would say that, in general, are much more conservative. And it's pretty clear that when you look at the war and the political situation in Israel, this would be a challenge for large institutional investors or even multinational companies based in Europe to operate in Israel or even to invest. So I can at least share with you our experience that since October, we haven't seen new investors investing in our companies coming out of Europe. But we saw some American companies and investors and LPs. So you see the difference.
And yet, you still think that it's important for Israeli companies to consider looking towards European investors or expanding their business in Europe?
Yeah, because I think that it's not only looking for new investors or very good big companies to sell for an Israeli startup to sell its product. I think it can go, vice versa. It's for Israeli investors as well, and there is a lot of money in Israel in the tech sectors that can start looking for new opportunities in Europe
To invest in European
and even in
companies.
French companies. So, and I was discussing it in another panel today that 10 years ago, 12 years ago, there were very, very few entrepreneurs in France and very few success stories. I think that by now, if you look at the amount of entrepreneurs, and I think that the spirit has changed with help of the government and many other programs, but still the spirit has changed, and you see more willingness to take risk, to start your own company. You have, I can just mention 2 to 3 companies, French companies that were started by French persons. So you have Snowflake, a huge company, Datadog, founded by 2 French entrepreneurs, Tenable, a cybersecurity company. So, and that's not a surprise, because if you look at the level of universities and academia here in France, I think that they have actually a lot to offer to the tech market.
Interesting.
So it's not only Israel funds or Israel startups looking for funds out of Europe or France. It's also go the other way.
Right, it's a two-way street. Okay, well, that's all the time we have for now, but thank you so much, Yuval.
Thank you for your time.